finding out to someone
Doesn't mean
else's
I'm going to jump into
relationship.
everyone's fucking
That
bed.
poor Bianca is going out there because of you, because you can't keep your fucking proudly hands off people.
I don't know how you can both stand there and you walked in like with smirks on your face like this is a funny situation. You've been disrespectful.
I am here for Nathaniel having his Angela Bassett moment. Oh my God, Nathaniel and Bianca had their waiting to exhale moments. If you've watched it, they set everything on fire and walked out like the bosses that they are. Nathaniel, dragged Ella and JJ in front of everyone, and I'm here for that because now there won't be Chinese whispers. Whatever conversations people have after this, they all know where Nathaniel stood. And the fact that he said, I'm done and I'm out, and walked out with his head held high, I'm so proud of him. I am so proud of him. Oh my God. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We're still trying to get to 1,000 subs. We're almost there. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, leave a comment, and definitely share. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight UK, Season 8, Episode 20. It's interesting watching everybody prepare for the dinner party because you have Roz and Thomas sort of having a conversation, and Roz being very appreciative of the fact that she was matched with Thomas. I said they were a good pairing, and if she was patient, they would both realize this. And Thomas was ecstatic because he said that's the nicest thing she's ever said to him, and it was so cute. And then you have Jordan and Erica having a conversation. This is where I personally get frustrated because people are making Erica to be Tasha's victim, and yet when the way both situations were handled with their husbands is totally different. Because on one side you have Erica talking about, oh, these girls, the way they treated me, I'm very anxious, I'm this, that. But before she told Tasha to shut up, because the scene is replayed, Tasha was saying her piece, she was saying her piece and making faces, and Tasha was triggered by the word shut up, and that's why she stood up. And yet she somehow, Erica in her head is now the victim because Tasha came at her. Well, had she not contributed by telling her to shut up, Tasha would not have stood up. They would have had their back and forth, sat down, and she's no victim. As far as I'm concerned, something happened. I know people don't want to see this, but something happened that the producers are not showing. And now they've decided that she is going to be the victim and Tasha is going to be the aggressor. Because when you see Tasha and Paul having a conversation, Paul is telling her, you need to iron out whatever's happened. You need to sort it out as soon as possible. That way you can go back to being happy with your friends. He's not making Tasha to be the victim. He's not causing Tasha to be upset. He's actually encouraging her to look at the bright side of mending or moving on from whatever's happened with her with Erica by bringing in the fact that you'll get more time to hang out with your friends and you'll ignore me. And so it shows that these two people are dealing with these two situations differently, and their husbands are looking at it from a very different point of view, which is very sad that Jordan is encouraging his wife's nonsense. In my opinion, she is no victim. She knows what she did. She knows what she said. She knows the comments she made when she told Tasha to sit down after she told her to shut up and started making sarcastic remarks. So I do not get why people are calling her the victim. And then you have JJ, Ella, Nathaniel, and poor Bianca. That's a sad situation. Of all those people, I feel sorry, number one, for Bianca and then Nathaniel. Because at the end of the day, Bianca, all she wanted was a relationship that works. And sadly, she's straddled with a man who wants a plastic Barbie. That's my opinion. Nathaniel wanted someone who was after emotional depth, and he was met with someone who likes someone to be all over them and worshipping them and telling them how beautiful they are, how much of a banging body they have, and always wanting to jump their bones. And sadly, this is not who Nathaniel is. And everybody is buzzing about this because they know there's going to be drama. The delusion is real. Anyway, the first to arrive at the party is Jordan and Erica, and obviously they are talking about Tasha and the fact that hopefully Tasha has learned and she, she's in a better space and is ready to take responsibility. And it's like, what about you? You told her to shut up before she stood up. You said something, and I will maintain this. Erica said something that triggered Tasha. When they sat behind Tasha and Paul in the last recommitment ceremony, I have a feeling she said something, or she must have confided in one of the other girls that came back and told the group, and this is why people have a bad taste in their mouth about her. But obviously she's not going to tell her husband. Anyway, I digress. You then have Ross and Thomas walk in. They look cute. You have Jay and Luke walk in. They also look happy. And then obviously JJ walks in on his own because, he's got this connection and he can't help it. Go and make yourself your own dream Barbie then if you want. I love Luke, but it's the audacity that, he made it seem like it's a good thing that JJ took time out because he doesn't want to have, Bianca be obsessed with him. And it's like, please. What is there to be obsessed about when it comes to JJ? What is small business that he's trying to start up? Or the fact that he likes, Barbies that are made in a lab? What is it? Look, you need to reconsider. You need to think again before you speak. How would you feel if somebody said the same thing about Jay? Or how would you feel if somebody said you were becoming obsessed with Jay? Make it make sense. Anyway, next up is one of my other favorites. You have Tasha and Paul walk in, and you can see the eye roll. The fact that people don't notice the body language, I, maybe because of my profession, automatically look at someone holistically, and I can pick out certain things and sort of say, oh, this is not right, this is right. The way, Erica rolled her eyes and then quickly looked for her husband for protection. Did it make sense? And for Tasha to come in and want to hug everyone, and she sidesteps Tasha. Yeah, Tasha called her tramp. That's wrong. But still, she sidestepped Tasha. She didn't want to hug Tasha. So for her to now be offended by that and wants to sort of her body language towards Tasha, if it wasn't for the girls, the way she came at Tasha and then she sat down next to Jay, if that were me, hands would have been thrown, because I read body language, and if your body language is coming to attack me, then I'm going to get into attack mode again as well. And so for her to sit down and ask, what did you call me? And everybody's faces, I like the fact that Paul went and stood by his wife. Paul was ready. If Jordan was going to say or do anything, Paul was on ready. He had his wife's back and was ready to go. He had spoken to Tasha, but he is me. I don't care. If you're my person, we're going to war. We'll sort each other out when we get to home, but I'm not going to stand there and watch other people attack you. So for them to then, move aside from everybody and for Tasha to apologize. Tasha's right to ask Erica to say, so are you apologizing or have you apologized? And Erica says, oh, well, I don't feel... Well, you said you were offended by me, but I shouldn't be offended by you. And even though you offended me, I've apologized to you, and yet you can't apologize. This is what I said yesterday. And I remember somebody put in the comments that it's cute for me to expect. But at least someone who's got self-awareness would know that if somebody's apologized for me upsetting them by sidestepping them and then them calling me a tramp, should I not maybe apologize for telling them to shut up because that triggered them enough to sort of to want to come at me? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. These people are just on TV to be on TV. People like Erica, people like JJ, people like Ella. They're just there to be famous, and that's it. Because I don't get why, if Paul could sit with his wife and encourage her to apologize, why Jordan didn't do the same thing. I don't get why he didn't do the same thing. And I don't get why the viewers are giving Tasha more heat than they are giving Erica. Why? Erica's been worse. Erica has said some of the most malicious things. Her body language, the way she's behaved has been very disrespectful. And so for people not to notice that and hone in on Tasha and call Tasha all sorts of names tells me that they never liked Tasha. They always were looking for an excuse to hate Tasha, just the same way as they were looking for an excuse to hate Portia. And as soon as she behaved the way she behaved, they found something to drag her about. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So the two new couples arrive. You have Mark and Sean arrive first, and then you have Adrian and Matt. And Tasha was honest. She says she doesn't like change because it's too much change, really. You have people coming and going. You have had Portia and Terrence leave, and so they've had to bring in more couples, and it's just a bit too much. I get where she's coming from. And it's interesting that when they're sat down sort of catching up with the new couples, Tasha and Erica know to maintain 6 feet, which is good. And it's nice to see Tasha sort of bonding with Mark. Hopefully she's able to calm him down because, oh my God, he can be a bit too much. You then have Arthur arrive with Laura and they seem happy. Apparently Arthur was styled by Nathaniel, which is good. And Nathaniel arrives on his own. And you can see that JJ is uncomfortable. He is uncomfortable and he should be uncomfortable because of what he's done. It's interesting. He knows what he's done. He knows what he's done because you can see JJ standing in the background and he's just staring from side to side like he's been caught stealing. And he's like, well, you have. And I like the fact that because the experts are sort of wondering, why is it, we've had two couples come in separately thus far. So you've had Nathaniel, JJ and Bianca all walking separately. And they're wondering what's going on. And then Tasha starts to have a conversation with Adrian, sort of saying, it's been a bit tense, because there's been issues between two couples. Some couples have not been able to get on the same page. And then some couples have been liking other couples' husbands. And Adrian doesn't know. So she's asking who. And she sat right next to Bianca. And it's like, oh my God. As soon as Ella walks in, you can see the tension because people are tense. The girls didn't run up to her. It was very awkward and quiet. It was more or less the same way it was when Peggy and George walked in because people still feel some type of way about them. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see all this play out because you can only hide for so long before your true color starts showing. And Nathaniel is ready for war. I don't get it. It's the audacity for Ella to flirt with JJ in a room filled with everyone. And the fact that she said she's going to put herself first and be selfish. And it's like, so you're being selfish at someone else's expense. This is what Nathaniel was telling her, that you cannot, go after somebody's husband because that makes you happy just because you're not happy in your relationship. That's not fair. That's not fair to Bianca because what has she done to deserve this? And so for her to be flirting and fishing for comments, I think personally, I don't know Ella, but the fact that Ella is constantly wanting validation from people, this is why Nathaniel didn't want her, because he couldn't do that. He couldn't be Sean. He couldn't be constantly giving validation and sort of, making her feel good about herself. He wants someone who knows their worth and is able to feel good about themselves without constantly being told, you're stunning, you're this, you're that, and the other. And I think this is why their marriage didn't work with Ella, because that's what she wanted, and Nathaniel was never going to bow down to anyone. And so the fact that she's asking Tasha that, how is Nathaniel? Oh, is he going to say anything? What do you expect, Sherlock Holmes? What do you expect? You expect him to sit there and watch you flirting and doing all that and just keep quiet? No, he's going to say his piece when he's ready. And I'm happy that Tasha said, oh, well, he will say what he wants to say. I now get what the problem is. Because when they get to the dinner table, you have Erica decide to make herself, the one to offer the toast, which I do not think was the right idea. I think if anyone had offered a toast, it should have been George, and I think he should have apologized to the group about what happened the previous week. Just like what Terrence did after his commotion with Portia the following week, he stood up and apologized to everyone. I think George should have stood up. He should have apologized to everyone for what happened last week. He should have apologized to Portia and Terrence, even if they were not there. And so the idea that Eric stood up and said, I want to thank everyone that's made us feel welcome, yourselves. And it's like, you don't need to say that. If you're mending bridges, and if you have been offended by someone and you want to rise above and be the bigger person, there's no point to throw shade and for you to say you want good vibes only. This is why I say people are blindsided by their hatred for Tasha, that they don't see what Erica's doing. That was a shade at Tasha, and you can believe what you want to believe, but that speech or that toast wasn't it, and I'm surprised nobody called her out on it. And the fact that her husband sat there and encouraged that doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. I think if nothing else, Jordan should have been the one to say, I know there was a bit of commotion with the girls last week. Hopefully we'll be able to move on from here and we'll be able to start all over and get on, because, you are all an important part of our journey. That's what should have happened. Or that's what Erica should have said instead of the shade she threw. That left a very bad taste in my mouth. Very bad. She showed who she is. I could really have done with Portia tonight. I could really have done with Portia because Portia lives for the drama. And so at the dinner table, you have Nathaniel sitting with Ella and you have JJ sitting with Bianca, even though they've been living separately because obviously they're considered to be a married couple until they're divorced. So Nathaniel is trying to have a conversation with Adrian and Matt and is sort of trying to find out about their honeymoon. And Ella is always going to want to be the center of attention. She's shouting across to Rose, who's sitting next to her. They're having a conversation, and the more she speaks, the more agitated Nathaniel gets. And, Rose, I think, sort of said, "I love both of you." And Nathaniel asked for them to lower their volume because he didn't want to hear about himself being spoken about. And Ella then kicked off, you're doing an Oscar performance, blah blah blah. And it's like, don't stoke the fire, don't start the drama. And so Ross then asked Thomas to swap seats with Ella, and Nathaniel was ecstatic because Thomas is one of the nicest guys at the table, so he's cool. And things just kicked off from there. Because when he was asked about his honeymoon, that's when he started talking about the lies and the deceit, have been part of their honeymoon. And they continue into their marriage. And so the idea that, because Ella presented herself as this angelic person who went through the transition and looks after her nan and is, being this amazing little girl, and only for Nathaniel to find out that she was working as a stripper and whatever else he found out that he didn't reveal or whatever the producers cut out. So he then is asked, well, what do you mean by deceit? And he talks about Ella flirting with JJ, and eventually, JJ wanted to hide, and eventually Nathaniel was right to ask him. In my opinion, he was right to ask him that, are the feelings reciprocated? Do you feel the same way about Ella as she does? And he says, well, she's my type. That's not an answer. Do you like her or do you not? That's what he's asking you, because that's his wife. Well, I don't need to tell you anything. That's her husband. You have to tell him if you're interested in his wife. The least I think JJ should have done is, as soon as Nathaniel walked in on his own, he should have pulled Nathaniel aside and had a conversation with him about what's been going on. Or even before the dinner party, he should have had a conversation with Nathaniel and told Nathaniel what was going on out of respect. Whether or not Ella's marriage was working doesn't matter, but he should have still told Nathaniel that I want to let you know this is what has been going on between me and your wife. That way Nathaniel was in a better place to understand what's going on. And poor Bianca is sitting there like a deer in headlights because she has no idea what's going on. She thinks she's working on her marriage. She thinks JJ has taken time out to sort of realize that he really is interested in her. So for her to then find out that no, he's actually chasing after Ella was a bit too much. It was a bit too much, so she stormed off, which is sad, really sad. I didn't like that. I am happy that Nathaniel spoke his piece, because Ella was always going to go around there with Chinese whispers and tell people whatever she wanted to make herself look good. So the fact that he dragged her in front of everyone, and he mentioned that Ella is always wanting everything to be about her. I think Ella and Nathaniel agreed to remain on the show because Ella wanted to become a celebrity. And for whatever reason, Nathaniel, whatever he said was cut out, because he said to her, you told me you were only here for, and then it was cut out, and I don't know what that meant. I can't wait for him to do interviews and we find out the truth. And so for Ella to then try and drag everyone, I think she expected people to call out Nathaniel for whatever he said, and when people didn't, she started calling the guys. I've been very nice to you. Hey, you need to speak up for me. Look, Thomas, I'm embarrassed of you, Laura. And it's like, why? What have they done? They were not the ones that were flirting with JJ. They were not the ones that were texting JJ. They were not the ones that had a meetup with JJ. So why are you dragging them into your mess? I don't get it. And also for Luke and Jordan, I think this is where people's problem with Jordan and Erica comes from, in the sense that they make these comments whether or not they're right, but they don't have the full picture of what's going on. I have a feeling that JJ spoke to Luke and told him everything that was going on and told him about his position. And this is why sort of Luke was frustrated that Jordan keeps making these comments and he doesn't have the clear picture. Yes, Jordan is right to say that I feel JJ owed Bianca the respect to pull her aside before the dinner party and explain what was going on. I feel that Nathaniel is within his rights to drag someone who's cheating with his wife in front of everybody and let everybody else know what is going on. So the fact that Luke said, oh, you know, that Ella's throwing herself at JJ, and JJ can only resist for so long. No, JJ has the right to say no. If he really wanted to work on his marriage, he could have told Ella no, and he could have moved on. So I get where both of them are coming from, and I get their frustrations, but I think, as Tasha said before, the problem is when you're new and you come into a situation, you need to make sure you have the full picture before you start making comments. Yes, you might have an unbiased opinion, but I think Jordan should have spoken to both, to all four parties involved before making his assumptions of what he felt was best. But that's just me. So you have poor Bianca walk back in. I think the producers were able to pacify her after she stormed out and was very upset. For Ella and JJ to walk back into the room together and announce that they have this connection and, they don't know what it is, but, they're just drawn to one another and they feel really bad and they want to apologize. And it's like, it's a little too late, buddy. It's a little too late. And I am happy that Nathaniel and Bianca have given you the smoke because you deserved it. You did deserve it. And I'm happy that Bianca was able to say everything that was on her mind. Everything. The fact that she was able to silence Ella. Oh, kudos to her. I stood up. I was giving an applause because at the end of the day, Ella has always tried to make every situation about herself. And for her to call herself a girl's girl, and yet she went after somebody's man just because her husband didn't fancy her, doesn't make sense to me. And I'm happy that Bianca said everything she needed to say and can walk out with her head held high, knowing that she doesn't need or owe anything to anyone. I'm sorry that she was heartbroken, but I'm hoping this is a teachable moment for both her and Nathaniel, and in their next partners, they'll find the person they're looking for. Ella and JJ deserve one another. It's not going to last long. It's not going to last long. Yes, Ella might look the part that JJ wants in a partner, but when she starts showing her true colors, JJ is going to run for the hills. And you could see on the faces of everyone, especially on Mark and Jay's faces, you could see the trauma. They've been traumatized. They were traumatized. Their trauma came to light. You can see how terrified they were. They wanted to just hide. Everybody else was just stunned. They couldn't say a thing. And so I don't know what happens from here on out. I personally don't feel that Ella should stay on the show. The producers might want to keep her as the first transgender person on the show, but I don't think she should stay on the show. I don't think that's it. I think, if nothing else, I think people that should leave should be Erica. Erica's after attention. She wants to be the breakout star. So she and Jordan can leave. And also I think Ella and JJ need to leave. It's a pity that you can't find someone for Bianca now, but I hope she's able to find her person in the real world. It's really sad. I wish she was on a show like Love Island because she could move on to the next person, but it's really sad that what she came looking for, she wasn't able to find. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 19. Bye everyone.